Welcome to Call Before Showing, a podcast where we help real estate pros navigate the emotional ups and downs of the real estate business
and hear the stories of real people who buckle in and ride the roller coaster with us.
Are you ready? Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Call Before Showing. This is Alex Eldridge and I'm here with my co-host Alison McPherson.
Hi.
How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really, really cold.
Oh, really?
But I feel like I complain about that every day.
In the summer, you'll be like, I'm sweating.
Yeah, basically. I mean, coming from Southern California, I'm just never satisfied.
Yeah, like it needs to be 70 degrees and sunny.
Every day.
And not that humid either. Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about something that you have quite a bit of experience with, and that's different kinds of client events.
Yeah.
So I remember you telling me that you had gotten a lead from a housewarming party that you had done for your buyers.
Yeah.
What determines whether or not they're the type of people that you want to do a housewarming party for?
So I pretty much always offer to do something to help on their housewarming party. So typically at final walkthrough or even before that, I kind of start like planting the seeds like, oh, and then this is a great place to have your housewarming party and blah, blah, blah. I think like throughout the process, I talk about a housewarming party and like how you have to have a housewarming party and how it's so much fun and everyone can see your house and it's so exciting. And then basically at final walkthrough, I say again, like, hey, just a reminder, I'm happy to help you throw a housewarming party. Literally, however much involvement you want me to be involved, like I will help you plan the entire thing. I will help you send out invitations. I will do all of those things with you because, I mean, first of all, I think it's like a really nice touch. Like every single time I've been at one, people are like, oh, my realtor, I don't want them at my housewarming party, or like they never even said anything about a housewarming party or anything like that. So I just kind of like plant the seeds throughout the process and say like, hey, if you're having a housewarming party, I would love to be involved. Sometimes people are like, great, bring a case of beer and we're good to go. Some people are like, hey, can you handle the food? And I'm like, absolutely. So it really just depends like how much they want me to be involved. I kind of follow their lead.
Do you ever get people that are like, no, that's weird?
Yeah. And really, I mean, people don't say no. They're just like, okay, great, thanks. But then like some people aren't the people that want to have a housewarming party. Like some people are introverted and they don't want people coming all up in their house, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that doesn't have to do with introversion, but you know, sometimes people like want their house just to be their house and like not have a bunch of parties. Like not everybody wants to be an entertainer, right?
Right. So I have a few questions already.
Okay, go
I have
ahead.
so many questions about this. Okay, so I know for me, like at times where I've talked about like, oh, maybe I should have a housewarming party, I felt like I was like, my house was covered in boxes for a while.
Yeah.
And by the time I felt like, oh, everything's unpacked and I've decorated and we have all of our furniture and stuff, it's like we're not really new to the house anymore anyway. Like we've been there a couple months. I don't know if I'm just a slow person when it comes to this, but at what state of being unpacked or whatever do you typically do this, or like do their houses look when you're doing this? And are you doing the housewarming party like a week after closing, or are you waiting a few months?
The ones that I've done in the past have been a few months after closing, or like at least a few weeks. Like they move in, they unpack the majority of their stuff. Like for the most part, people give themselves a chance to unpack. And then also it gives them time to kind of like get like a guest list, like who they would want to come together. Like some people want to invite people from work. Some people want to wait until their family is in town, like if they're out of town family.
Yeah.
And so really, I don't like chase people down and say, let me host a housewarming party for you. I just kind of plant the seeds throughout the process and say, you know, if you want me involved in this, I would love to be involved because like I'd love to meet your friends and your family and like see their reaction when they walk into the house. You know, like I just love that part of this business. And so, you know, I plant the seeds and then I kind of follow their lead. Like if they're like, I don't want to have a housewarming party, I'm like, great, no pressure. That's fine. But a lot of times first time home buyers are like super excited to do it.
So for the client that has basically let you take the lead with it, and like for the client that you've done the most for,
Mhm.
what did you do? What steps did you take? How much did it cost? Like what you're saying sounds great, but I'm wondering like if a client is like, okay, sure, go ahead. How much are you committing to at that point?
So I get with them on the date and the time and all of that, who they want to invite. A lot of times I'll make a Facebook event and then they can invite whoever they want to just off of Facebook. So I'll like make the invitations so that it looks good on Facebook. So that doesn't cost anything. That's $0. And I just like design something like a social media graphic on canva.com.
Are you inviting neighbors too, or is it just the list that they want?
I have not actually invited neighbors, but like that is something that like I would love to do. Like if somebody's like, I want to meet all my people, all my neighbors, like I would send out invitations for them, like get them printed. We have an in-house printer in my office. So, get them printed and send them out almost like a mailing, like meet your new neighbor sort of thing. But I have not personally done that yet. Most of the time, it's just been people inviting friends, coworkers, family on Facebook. I've made the Facebook event and sent that to them. And then, I've given them the file. And if they want me to send them out to neighbors, like hell yeah, I'll do that. But I haven't had that happen yet. I make the Facebook invite. I let them invite whoever they want to. Like, I'm not getting the people's email addresses, phone numbers, anything like that. I don't want it to be a way for me to grow my database, but it would be a great way to do that if you wanted to make it like, hey, I'll invite all these people and add them to my database. But like, I feel like that isn't as genuine.
I agree.
I just want to invite your friends. And if I make a connection with them, with somebody at the party, and like, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to know more. I want to buy something in the next year or so. Like, hell yeah, I'll add them to my database and start talking to them more often. But like, nobody wants to be added to a realtor's list without knowing, right? Just because they're being invited to a party.
Yeah, you don't want to get spammed by your friend's realtor
Right.
that you like have no, like you don't even know.
Right.
Especially if they like declined going to the event or like weren't able to make it or whatever. You're like, who the hell is Alison McPherson and why is she emailing me every month?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I really just make it like I follow their lead, how much they want me to be involved. And then I go to the party and just like talk to people. It's not rocket science. You literally just go there and talk to people and meet people. For me, it's gotten to be where I then get to know my client better because like I meet their friends, right? I love doing them. I wish more of my clients would let me do it with them. But like some people don't want to have a party and that's totally fine.
So besides the invitations, you just provide food and drink?
Yeah. So, like, for one of them, they were like, hey, we're going to have like a bunch of sides and stuff, but like whatever you think would be good for like food. They were like, maybe pizza or something. So, I ordered like 10 pizzas. So, that was maybe $150. And so, I like strolled up in there. I looked like a hot mess. I was like carrying like 5 pizzas on each side.
More like a dream come true.
Yeah, like it was like, hello, I'm the realtor and I am here to bring pizza. And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet of you. And I think they probably had pizza left over for like months. But like, so I've done that. I've brought like beer and wine to one. I brought some appetizers and stuff to one. It really just depends like what their vision is for their event, right? Like, and this is something that like I think came over with me from when I worked in the wedding industry. Like I would just be like, tell me the vibe. Like tell me what you want the vibe to be and tell me how much you want me to be involved. And if you want to take the reins and like do the whole thing, I'll show up and I will bring a gift and like a case of beer. And
Yeah.
that is the majority of like most of them I show up with a thing of drinks. That doesn't cost me anything. And then I like get to make connections with all of their friends and family, which is great.
Do you always go by yourself or do you ever bring Josh?
Oh, I've definitely brought Josh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've gone by myself before, but it definitely is easier to take Josh with me.
Right. You have a buffer.
Right. And then I can be like, oh, hey, this is my husband. Like we talked about him like a million times. And in most cases, they haven't actually met him yet.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I love that you said that because I feel like I would definitely want to bring Wes to something like that if I did it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's definitely like a safety blanket. And also, like, if all of the friends and family and whatever, like they already all know each other probably, right? So if all of them are talking and like I'm the awkward realtor in the room, then at least I have my husband there, right?
You feel more like a real person and not like a salesperson standing.
And being like, I sold this house to this person, like who the hell cares?
Yeah,
But like, I think a part of like my brand and like how I interact with my clients is like, I want them to be my friend first, right?
absolutely.
I'm their friend first, their realtor second.
Yes.
And so I think that just like reiterates everything.
I love that. I mean, I feel really similar in what you just said that you become their friend. I feel like I developed that relationship with my clients, most of my clients, except for the ones that are like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to be friends with you in real life." But I've gotten reviews that said like, "Oh, like we loved Alex so much because it felt like we were shopping with a friend."
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do what you're doing and, really take it one step further, but I think I've just been really intimidated by the idea, to be completely honest.
I think a lot of people who have like thought about doing this or whatever, they put too much pressure on themselves. Like you don't have to plan the entire party. And in fact, your
Yeah,
client probably doesn't want you to plan the entire party.
right.
You're there as like a support and a friend and you help them through guide them through the journey. So like it's one of those things that, if you would have me, I would love to be there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I frame it. And some people are like, we're going to have two housewarming parties, like one for our friends and then one for like our out of town family that like we don't want to wait too long for them to like come in town or whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. Just tell me which one you want me to come to. And they're always like, the one with the friends, you know?
Yeah. Oh, how many people usually show up? I mean, I know there's probably a range, but like, do you ever have like only two people there?
No, it's always more than that. Usually from like 8 and like 25, 30.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah, and that's like
size.
people who show up. Like most of the time people invite like 25 to 50 people.
Do you ever have a guest make comments about not liking the house or
No.
like grilling you in a certain way?
No, like people are like, "Oh, how did they come to find this neighborhood?" Or how did they people want the story of like how it all happened. I've never had anyone be like, "Oh, I don't like this house." Like that would be freaking rude.
Yeah, that's that's what I'm afraid of. Is for them to be like, "Wow, this house sucks. You must have a terrible realtor."
No, no. And like if they liked the process enough to like let you help host or come to their housewarming party, like they're going to
It must have gone well.
yeah, and they're going to be like, "Oh my god, this is my realtor. I love her. Meet Allison or Al," like
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
it's like so not a big deal. Everybody I think people who want to do it but don't do it, it's because they're putting like a totally unnecessary pressure on themselves to like be someone they aren't. If you're excited for your client, if you want to meet their friends and family, like go to the freaking event and bring a case of beer and be fun.
So all of your housewarming parties have been good experiences.
Yeah.
And how much success have you gotten as far as referrals?
So I've gotten like one listing that like came directly from it. I think it's not super measurable yet
Okay.
because it's one of those things that like, okay, they meet you at this thing, but like nobody actually needs you right away.
Hmm.
So it's going to be one of those things that will be interesting to see over the years what comes from it.
You're really building your network through these.
Right. And just like meeting people, right? I'm not building like a database of these people that have come to housewarming parties. If I was memorable to them at the housewarming party, if they remember that one of their friends had a really good experience with me, that already is like good, warm, fuzzy feelings, right?
Yeah.
It could be that people are like, oh, hey, remember at your housewarming party, that realtor that was there, that was your realtor? Like, did you have a good experience with her? Like, I just feel like it's an easy way for someone to be like, hey, I remember you had a good experience.
And you also stand out as a realtor.
Every single time I've had one, I've attended one, people have been like, what the hell? My realtor didn't come to my housewarming party,
Yeah.
or like they didn't host my housewarming party.
I love that.
But for me, it's just like fun. It's not something that I ever expect to get like measurable results from, but I think it is something that will lead to measurable results.
Yeah.
One listing that I have had like came directly from a friend of one of my past clients that met me at their housewarming party, and I would not have met them otherwise.
Hey, and I feel like that alone makes it worth it, right?
Heck yeah.
The commission that you would get from that makes it worth the amount of money that you're spending.
100%.
You've inspired me today.
Do it. All of y'all should do it because it's really easy. It's low cost. It's fun. Like all of us are looking to grow the amount of people that we know and that know us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm working with a buyer right now, a couple that I like after showing them property the first time I went home and I was like, I want them to be friends with us because I really, really like them.
Yeah.
And
You should host a housewarming party for them. 100%.
I know that you do events for your past clients. So how many a year do you host?
I try to do one a quarter. Two of them are just like happy hours at local bars or breweries or whatever. So those are super easy. Like I just schedule a date, give them the time, send it out to everybody, and then they come and have a drink or appetizers or whatever with me. So that's once a quarter. Those ones are like very casual. I've had like 2 people before to like 5 to 8 people. Like they're not huge.
Okay. It's just whoever can make it.
Yeah, it's just like no pressure. Come for a drink, have an appetizer. I'd love to see you. And then I do one cookout at my house every year. And then I do one event, which this one we just started last year. Sally, who you guys have met on the podcast, and I teamed up and we hired a professional photographer to come to a local brewery that we had appetizers and drinks and all of that jazz. There was like a picturesque area nearby, and so we kind of marketed it as come get your family photos updated. It was in October, so we were thinking like, oh, maybe they could use these pictures for like their Christmas cards or their holiday cards, like whatever, if they do that, or just if they want some updated pictures.
Who doesn't want that? I feel like people spend a lot of money on that every year.
Yeah, and so we hired a photographer who is a friend of mine, again, from the wedding industry. And like, it was a great way to support another small business. So we hired her. She did 15-minute sessions for each of our past clients. And we included, like, in the fee that we paid her, she included, I think, 5 edited images that they could just like download from her website or whatever. And then they could choose their photos. If they wanted the full gallery, it was an upcharge of, I don't know, but it was like a very nominal amount that they would have to pay. So like, I think it was maybe like $75 or something, but it was like 15 minutes worth of pictures, which was like 75 edited photos. So like, if you want a bunch of photos, like worth it, $1 a photo.
Absolutely.
But if you just wanted like one photo for your Christmas card, that was included.
How many families showed up to that?
We probably had about 50 people. It was probably 23 families.
How much did you pay the photographer at the end?
Like 600 something dollars.
Wow, that's not bad.
No, and we split it between the 2 of us, and then we like paid for drinks and stuff. So it probably ended up being a total of maybe $1,000 for 50 people.
Split between the 2 of you.
Right. And so like that was it was a super fun way for us to like see our clients, give them something of value, right? Like they got free photos of their family and just like have a fun afternoon.
That's great.
So we'll be doing that annually. But at some point we're going to have to add a second photographer because it was crazy.
Yeah, totally. Well, West is a photographer, and I'm thinking like if he was like, "Oh, I'm going off to an event to shoot like 20 families," I would be like, "Oh my God." That sounds wild.
Yeah, the photographer, she just like loved it. She was like, this is so great. I got to meet so many people. And then also people were like, oh my God, can I hire her for blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, hell yeah, hire her. So it was kind of like all good feelings and mutually beneficial. And it was just like a great event.
That sounds amazing. I love that idea. That's really, really cool. I want to get back to you talked about having a cookout at your house.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit insecure, I guess, about having clients come to my house because it might not be as nice as the house I sold them. Do you know what I mean?
I had that same feeling. So I don't think that's uncommon if you're a realtor inviting people to your house.
Okay. So how did you overcome those feelings?
I still have them. Like, I don't think I overcame them at all, but I think everyone came and they were like, oh, I understand everything that Allison told me, right? Because, like, throughout the house search, I typically tell people, stories about my house and, how we fixed it up and what it used to look like and whatever. But everyone always comes and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly how you said it was."
Right.
It's like cozy and whatever.
You do have a really cozy home.
Yeah, but I kind of tell them like, "Oh, sorry, it's not show ready." Like my house is never show ready. But I also like tell them that when we're looking at houses. I talk to them throughout the process and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my house is such a hot mess right now." I'm a human.
Yeah. So how many people did you have come to your cookout?
Last year there was probably about 20.
And it's during the summer?
Yeah, and so I hope that we can do it this year. Josh's work schedule is crazy, but like he's essentially my chef.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, because I'm not like a griller. I'm not a good griller. So he grills and I just give people tours of my house.
So does everyone hang out outside or do they stay in the house?
Last year, everyone kind of like hung out inside. As it gets bigger, as I have more past clients, like people will have to start spilling out outside.
Yeah. When it comes to these events, are you inviting all of your past clients? Or are you just inviting the clients from that last year?
Okay, so for the happy hours and for the photo event, all of my past clients. No, for all of them, all of my past clients. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I think throughout the years, it will end up being a lot of people from the year previous or like 2 years previous will come, but like who the heck knows? I have no idea.
Well, that's so cool. Doing a housewarming party for a buyer and a client event and stuff like that, it's not brand new ideas, but I mean, the photography one you did is actually really cool, I think, an innovative idea. But I think that we hear a lot of these things, and for a lot of people, it's just kind of intimidating and a little bit daunting to actually do. I personally will meet up with a past client like one on one for a meal or go by their house or bring them something. I don't do like typical pop buys, where like everyone's getting
Like a thing of duct tape or
or when everyone hands out like mums, that's what they're called, right?
oh yeah, in the fall.
Yeah, so I don't do that. I like to make them a little more personal. Like I had this one client that loved chocolate, so whenever I was in the area and had like a little bit of time, I'd bring her by like a cupcake and just hang out with her for, 30, 45 minutes and kind of stuff like that. But I think that this is a great way of really touching all of those clients in one big gesture.
Well, and that's kind of like I kind of look at the event thing, like my happy hours and then my two like big events during the year. I look at those as my pop buys. Like I don't do the pop buys where I drive past people's houses and I mean I do kind of like you're saying like one-on-one. I schedule coffee dates and lunches and stuff like that, but I don't do like a little gift and a tag on it. Like I don't do that. And, there are other people in my office who do all of that with like such success and like ease.
And consistency.
Yeah, and like they're genuine and their people love them and it's just not me or it's not me at this moment in my life. Like I would rather do something that hopefully makes their day, but like makes their day in like a building community sort of way. Like maybe they meet a new friend there or like maybe they find somebody that like came here from the same state that they came from before and they have like all of these, nostalgic memories about that. I would rather connect people than like give everybody a little pop by gift.
Yeah, totally. The one time that I did do a pop by like thing was this last Christmas time. I baked like 200 cookies
Oh my gosh.
and I just brought like tins of cookies to all of my neighbors and the businesses in
Yeah.
Occoquan because it's like such a little town and all of the businesses are like mom and pop and the ladies at the post office because if you don't remember we
Yeah.
don't have mailmen. um, and so I took cookies to everyone and the cool thing about that was I have to say it's my sister's recipe but they're the like best cookies ever and whenever someone sees me still that I brought them cookies to, they're like, oh my gosh, those cookies. And so I guess if it's something that's like, that really does stand out, but I don't know. I think that the Hershey bar with the wrapper thing, it's fine, but like, does anyone really want like a Hershey bar with your business card on it? I don't know.
I don't know either. And like that's why I mean like I do Popeye sort of things for like Christmas gifts for my clients and that sort of thing. But like I love the cookie idea. Like that's a great idea. I like doing the events. So that's what I do.
No, I love that. I really, really love that. And I am so glad because you and I have never had this conversation before. So I'm so glad that I got to hear from you what your process looks like. And with your permission, I think I'm going to steal some of your ideas and use them up here.
Do it, girl.
You made a scary thing just like really approachable, I think. And I think that's really cool.
I think everyone should find something that they are genuinely excited to do, right? Because like I am not genuinely excited to do Popeyes, but like I am so excited to like share my friend that's a photographer with my people and introduce all of my clients to each other.
Helping people make connections.
I love that. And so like I think that first of all like attracts the right people to me. Like I think people see that hey, Allison is doing this and so maybe she's my agent because I like identify with that.
Yeah.
And there are people who don't come to any of the things. And that's totally fine. Like my feelings aren't hurt. Actually, you saved me money. Thank you. But like
Right.
I would still love to see them, you know.
Yeah, and you can connect with them on a different level.
Yeah, those are the people that I'm like, "Hey, I missed you there. Like, let's get coffee." And so that's kind of how I do things. But yeah, find something that like jazzes you up, even just in choosing the type of event you're doing. I would love to one day hire a private chef and like have them come to my house and like serve this like super elegant meal.
Oh, I love that.
Like I would love to do that. And maybe that is something that you do for like your top referrers of the year, like the people who send you the most referrals. How amazing would that be?
Yeah.
And just like get creative, like do something that feels right to you because I think it's one of those things that like people see that and they know that you're genuine about it.
Yeah, and I think you do a good job of bringing that across to your people.
I hope so.
Well, this was such a fun episode. I feel very enriched.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people find value in something that I said today that they can apply to their business. And thank you all so much for listening to Call Before Showing. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and make sure you follow us on social media at Call Before Showing on Facebook and Instagram. We want to hear if you have hosted events for your clients, what you did, what your ideas are, and like if budget were not a problem, what would you do for your clients?
To thank them
For their business.
And also, if you are someone that totally loves Popeyes, I also want to hear from you. Like you said, there are agents that do it really, really well and see rewards from it. And so I want to know what kind of Popeyes you're doing and what you like about that. All right, thanks so much for listening, guys. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Catch you later.